So hey everybody, this is Chris from C.H.Diegel Photography and the Artisan Shop. Today we're going to hike Mount Hunger via the Waterbury Trail. So it's early September here in the Green Mountains, and this is one of my favorite times to hike in Vermont because there's just not a ton of people here. After the kids go back to school and before the fall foliage visitors arrive, is a pretty quiet time in Vermont. And that's a perfect time to hike the Waterbury Trail. The Waterbury Trail is one of the busier trails in Vermont. So this is a place you want to avoid at peak times. You know, I wouldn't go hiking here like on a weekend or a holiday because there's going to be a lot of people here. It's going to be really difficult to find a parking spot. So this is a nice hike to do in quieter times like this. About a mile from the trailhead, you'll reach a series of small waterfalls. This is a good spot to stop for a break because things are about to get steep and rocky. The Waterbury Trail is a historic trail here in Vermont. There were early routes created up the mountain in the 1800s by loggers, farmers, and hunters. In 1910, when the Green Mountain Club was founded, Mount Hunger was already known as a hiking destination, and there were maps showing a trail out of Waterbury. In the 1930s, the CCC made improvements to the trail and formalized the route. It's such a gorgeous September day, so I'm about to get back to it. Thanks for joining my hike. When you get to this challenging little scramble, you're almost to the junction with the trail to White Rock Mountain. I've got a video from White Rock Mountain you should check out. I'm not going to head out there today, but definitely take a look at my video of White Rock. It is my very first long form video ever, so be kind. So I'm here at the junction with the trail to White Rock. You can see that's behind me here. And it's like a mile out to White Rock, and it's a nice ridge walk, you know, with a really beautiful boreal forest environment. You know, if you have the time, it's definitely worth doing that as a little side trip. But right now we're just about 2/10 of a mile from the summit of Mount Hunger, so we're getting really close. So awesome. This has been an incredibly awesome hike. What a beautiful day. Just an absolutely perfect September day. I love hiking this time of year. I think it's my favorite time of year to go hiking. So there seems to be some conflicting signage about the mileage of this trail. Just standing right here, the sign behind me says Mount Hunger 0.15 miles. And the sign right over here says Mount Hunger 0.2 miles. Now, also, this sign says that the Waterbury parking lot is 2.7 miles. Except at the trailhead, I could have sworn I saw it say that the hike was 3.5 miles round trip, which sounded really short to me. So I'm not sure what the inconsistency is, or maybe if I misread that sign down at the bottom, but well, there's definitely an inconsistency here, you know, be it a pretty small one, but at any rate, beautiful day. I'm gonna get on with my hike and go summit Mount Hunger. Thanks for joining my hike. The panorama from the summit is extraordinary. Any list of the best views in Vermont would have to include Mount Hunger. I sat down to enjoy some dinner and the views while I waited for golden hour. Well, hey everybody, this has been a fun night on Mount Hunger. I'm getting ready to pack up my gear and hike back down the mountain. But while we're here, and I got you kind of here in the dark, I wanted to tell you a story about when I went hiking on Mount Hunger one time. It was one of my first really sunrise hikes. This was many years ago, maybe like 2012 or something. And I was hiking up Mount Hunger for sunrise. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning or something. And I hear this horrible screaming sound coming from the woods. And mind you, I'm in the woods. I'm hiking by myself in the dark, and I just hear this horrible screaming sound come out of the darkness. And I was pretty freaked out. I was pretty new to hiking at night then. I didn't have the confidence that I have now to do that. So I was really freaked out at this sound. And the logical part of my brain said, well, that's some kind of wildlife. It's an owl, or it's a fox, or it's something that makes a strange screaming sound. Well, the emotional part of my brain is like, oh my God, what is that horrible banshee wailing sound? I was freaking out, and I almost was really considering turning around, I was so freaked out by it. But I didn't, and I kept going, and I heard it louder and louder a few times, like it was getting closer, so it was really freaky. And eventually, I didn't hear it anymore, and, I went home and I was like, all right, well, let me figure out what that is. And I went and I looked it up and I found out it was a barn owl. Not to be confused with a barred owl. This is a barn owl. And they make this horrible, horrible, like screaming, banshee wailing sound. If you've never heard it, I will put a link in the description and listen to it. And listen to that sound and imagine being in the dark in the woods by yourself and not knowing what it was. I was pretty freaked out. So what do you think of this big moon over me, huh? Boy, I didn't really bring a big long lens to shoot the moon very well. I got a few snaps of it, and my phone is shooting a time lapse of it over there. So we'll see how they turn out. The moon isn't something I feature in my images a ton, but we'll give it a try tonight and see what happens. You know, sunset was kind of bland. You know, kind of a clear, cloudless day, which don't really produce the best sunsets in the world. But I walked around the summit and I, shot some video footage, in the nice warm evening light. So it was still good. Still got some good pics, I'm sure. Nothing crazy like those last couple shoots we did. So I guess I'm going to get packed up and start heading down the Waterbury Trail. But this has been a great hike on Mount Hunger. Gorgeous up here at night. Gorgeous up here any time of day. So thanks everybody for joining my hike on Mount Hunger. So thanks for joining my hike to Mount Hunger. If you want to learn more about hiking in the Green Mountains and follow my photography adventures, I hope you subscribe to my channel. Thanks again for watching. Happy trails.